I couldn't get a job at the bank because I couldn't add. Couldn't get a job at the insurance company because I couldn't sell insurance. I couldn't go out of state to go work as a social worker. I wanted to be a social worker. And I had a cousin who was a social worker in New York City. She wrote back. He said, "Don't do it." She says, "Even the social workers are getting welfare. It pays a little money. Don't do it." I said, "Okay, fine. No more social work ideas. That's it. I can't help you if I can't help myself. And so if I'm on welfare, I'm going to tell you how to get off of welfare, right?" It just made sense to me. So I said, "Oh, forget about that." But I did not know that newspapers also pay welfare wages after taking a job. In fact, when I took my first job, I forgot to ask how much it paid until about the third day, at which time it was too late to quit. I was too embarrassed to quit at that point. So I said, "How much does it pay?" They said, "Oh, it paid minimum wage, $75 a week." And I said, "Oh, you're serious? You are serious?" So I realized at that point I had money to buy a car. I saved my folks another 4 or 5 months getting money to put them on an apartment. It was like a total disaster. Um, but that's how I got the newspapers. I love newspapers. I live and breathe newspapers. I wake up every morning. I want to read all the papers I can get. I read 2 or 4 papers a day. Um, I work probably 11, 12 o'clock at night. 5, 6 days a week, doesn't matter. I like this stuff. I live it and breathe it. And next year it'll be 40 years, nonstop. Giving me a paper is like eating dessert. I like it. Um, I love them. I hate them. I curse them. I kiss them. But I'll never let them go because that's just what I like. I found what I like in life. I always find they're able to do something. They can work absolute miracles in a given day. I remember writing a story at Christmas time. Family's house burnt down, caught fire. They lost their toys, lost their children's clothes, lost everything. And I wrote one story about it. One story about it. And within 2 days, they had an apartment free for 6 months. They had more Christmas presents they could ever afford to buy, right? And they had, furnishings and clothing. Everything had burned. The house was burnt down, right? And so one story in the morning paper just woke the town up. And I said, man, if you can have that much impact in one story, on this one family, just think of the impact you can have with other stories that are just as good. You don't want to, dwell on somebody's tragedies, right? But if you're writing some good stuff, people rally behind that. Bad stuff, rally behind that. And so just the power of that newspaper and the power of the pen, it helped me understand why newspapers exist and why they've existed for so long, and that this is something I need to participate on. If it has so much power on my community, I need to make sure that we're kind of doing this thing right and we're covering stuff that needs to be covered. And I said, okay, I'm in. And I stayed there. And it was terrible for the first year. I wasn't a journalist. I was somebody who wanted to be a journalist. I really wasn't a journalist. Do you all have quotes in your stories? Quotes. Well, I didn't have quotes in mine in the beginning. Do you all write short sentences and short paragraphs? I wrote English composition in mine. And so one day my editor asked me about 2 weeks I was on the job, reading about 6, 7 stories. He asked me, he said, Reggie, let me ask you a question. He said, do you read the paper every morning? And I said, yeah, I read it every morning. He said, well, how do your stories differ from the ones in the paper? And I hadn't thought about it until he asked me. I said, well, let me take a look here and see, right? So I looked at the paper, and then I really studied the papers. First time I'd studied a newspaper. I've been studying papers ever since. I studied and looked at it, and I said, your stories in the paper have quotes in them. He said, that's right, very good. He said, what else do you see? I said, well, your sentences and paragraphs are shorter. He said, that's right. He says, do you think you could write your stories the way we write our stories in the paper? I said, well, by golly, I think I can. Right? And that was the end of the discussion, right? So it didn't take a sledgehammer, right? But it was like a polite sledgehammer. He says, look, damn it, you're the only person in the whole newsroom who's writing English composition. Every paragraph is 3 sentences. I mean, it was like down to a formula, right? We learned in college. I had 3 sentences per paragraph. When I changed a thought, I changed a paragraph. Every sentence is about maybe 45, 50 words long, right? And they were going nuts. And they had put this to a halt as soon as they could. It was going to kill the copy desk. And so I got that part nailed down. Then I had to get like, you know, we wrote on hard copy then, typewriters, not computers. So everything you typed, right, is on paper as soon as you write it. That was a fast typer. It took typing how to type fast, right? Now type fast and I think. And so I'm always getting errors in here and the quotes are in the wrong place. And so I had like readable typos throughout, right? So one, I don't have quotes, write long paragraphs. I got typos in paragraphs I do have. And they're going nuts. They're absolutely going nuts. So it took about 9 months to kind of get me to a point where they thought I could write. They knew I could report. You know, two different things, reporting and writing. They knew I could report. Because I would take anything they gave me, I'd take out the trash can, look at it and say, you know, I think it's a story. Because they didn't have a beat, right? So I had to get scraps wherever I could. So I looked in the trash can at nighttime, pull stuff out of the trash can, see if people weren't writing. And I write about that. And so they knew I could report. I had no problem calling people, no problem asking me questions. But I just couldn't write a story. So we were focusing on what I needed. And then, you know, keep beating me up on that part. And once I got that part nailed down, I was good to go. And most of it was just piece of cake. You know, one thing about newspaper publishers, not all of them, but many of them, is they're the own worst enemy. You know, we have been declaring ourselves dead more than people outside the business become themselves dead. You know, don't ever shoot yourself. Well, let other people shoot you. Don't beat yourself up. Let other people get you in the alley and beat you up, right? But don't like go beating yourself up. And so we're in this like mode. Oh, we're dying. No, we're not dying. You know, and stop saying that. Don't have a self-fulfilling prophecy. Go out and do your best. Invest in your property. Invest in your people. Publish a good paper, and you get readers back. But if you take papers and you gut them, lay off all the staff, for all the people, don't cover anything, and then you invent something called mojo journalist, right, where one person's doing 10 jobs, none of them well, and you're guaranteeing you're going to marginalize yourself and become irrelevant because you'll be a jack of all trades, master of none, and the quality of the product will show that. So we're in this mode now where we're sort of like we're doing our own little self-destruct thing. It's like a little kid in the corner, and nobody to play with them, right? So they're just kind of beating themselves up. And that's really not a great thing to do. Go to the wall and you start hitting the wall, you know, break your knuckles, you know, turn flips, you know, pull a chair down your head. You know, get out there and fight. Get out there and fight. We own territory. We own news. You know, get a little something to shoot for.